Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Centennial Lecture Series featuring a centennial conversation on When Reforms Don't Transform, Reflections on Philippine Education. Today marks the 26th lecture in the year-long Centennial Lecture Series that feature renowned international and local personalities of the academe, government, and industry. To introduce our convener and discussants, please welcome one of our Centennial Fellows and Dean of the School of Economics, Professor Emmanuel de Dios.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of necessity and function, life and relationships in the university are primarily intellectual. We, faculty and students, relate to each other primarily in relation to the ideas that we think. It's in relation to these ideas that we define our relationships. Who is the giver, who is the recipient, proponent and challenger, partisan, counterparty. It is for this reason that we tend naturally in the university to gravitate and associate with people who share the same ideas, or share the same discipline or the same language. It is easy enough to cite cases where intellectual and personal animosity coincide. For example, Georg Cantor, the inventor of set theory, and Leopold Kronecker, his great arch-enemy. They disagreed both personally and intellectually. But intellectual agreement is neither necessary nor sufficient for bonhomie or loyal friendship. We may actually enjoy the company of people we disagree with, such as Ricardo and Malthus. Or we may dislike even people whose ideas we share. For example, John Maynard Keynes being indifferent to Michał Kaleschki, or the animosity between Newton and Leibniz, both co-founders or inventors of the calculus. Our speakers today are in none of those strange categories. Theirs is a case of elective affinity, what Goethe called Wahlverwandtschaften, which reflects a union of minds, causes, and characters. Cynthia Bautista, Alan Bernardo, and Dina Ocampo are social scientists from different disciplines, sociology, psychology, and education, but who are bound together by a common interest, a common cause, but also a common friendship that only deepens their scholarly commitment. There's actually a fourth person who is a part of this team, who is absent today but played probably the most crucial role. That person is the late Professor Malu Doronila. Malu had a deep influence on Alan Bernardo and Dina Ocampo through her lifelong work in the Education Reform Project, that strange blend of creative misfits and idiosyncratic geniuses who found an unlikely home in the Center for Integrative and Development Studies, which was headed for many years by Cynthia Bautista. Alan's and Malu's award-winning UNESCO books were both based on an ERP project, and I am told that Malu Doronila's devious scheme was to pull Alan Bernardo out of cognitive psychology, that ivory tower, and to broaden his horizon, turning him into a, heaven forbid, a sociologist. Dina, of course, was already professionally involved in Malu's projects and deeply impressed by her philosophy and work ethic. After Malu's untimely death, however, it was Cynthia Bautista's sense of duty and obligation to continue the important work left by her friend, among others in the Third Elementary Education Project Review and in the ARMM. In many ways, therefore, this presentation is a tribute to Malu. Cynthia concedes that the title itself was inspired by Malu's incessant complaints about the projection of a never-ending crisis in education. Tiresome in their repetition, Malu would always mumble. And so I have the distinct honor of presenting the other members of the team. Alan Bernardo used to serve with this university, although I feel he has never left it, but is currently with the Department of Psychology of De La Salle University. He is professor and university fellow. He is also the chair of the Philippine Social Science Council. For more than 15 years now, he has applied psychological theories and methods to study the cognitive, linguistic, developmental, and cultural dimensions of Filipino students' learning. And more recently, he has explored the social, political, and historical aspects of Philippine educational policy and reform. So, Malu's scheme might be working. No? His research has been published in leading international journals of psychology and education, and is currently editor of the Asia Pacific Education Researcher, the only Philippine education research journal listed in the ISI. He has served as formal and informal consultant to various reform-related projects of the Department of Education under 6 different Department of Education secretaries, and most recently was the consultant for the BESRA, Basic Education Social Reform Agenda, involving teacher quality. He served as chair and member of various technical panels and working groups of the CHED, and has organized and implemented many teacher development programs and for teachers and other education professionals in basic and higher education. Alan obtained his PhD in psychology from Yale, and he was recently elected to the National Academy of Science and Technology. Previous to that, he was given the OYS Outstanding Young Men Award for Psychology and Education, and the NRCP Achievement Award for Social Science, as well as the UNESCO Prize for Literacy Research. Dino Ocampo is a faculty member at the UP College of Education, where she also obtained her undergraduate and master's degrees in special education and reading education. She earned her PhD in psychology from the University of Surrey, the UK. She researches on literacy development and literacy difficulties among bilinguals, and publishes on this topic in academic articles in local and international journals. She has also served as resource person and consultant in various programs and projects of the DepEd, including the BESRA as well. She is founder and currently the president of the Board of Trustees of World Lab School, which provides education opportunities to children with dyslexia and related learning difficulties. In October 2007, she was conference director of the first Pan-Asian Learning Difficulties Conference, which was organized by World Lab School. Dina has served as vice president of the Reading Association of the Philippines and has been editor of the organization's publications, and is also the author of children's storybooks. In 2003, her work on dyslexia assessment of the biscriptal reader was awarded the UP Diliman Gawad Chancellor for the most outstanding published research in the social sciences. And in 2006, she received Gawad Chancellor para sa natatanging guro. She was among the outstanding women in the nation's service, towns, in 2007. And finally, there is Cynthia Banson Bautista, a dear friend. Cynthia is professor of sociology and has served the university in various incarnations, notably as Dean of the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, and as I've already mentioned, Executive Director of CIDS, and of course in various ad hoc committees at the college, campus, and system levels. She's a favorite committee member and chair. Cynthia took her BA in Sociology, magna cum laude, from UP, and went on to complete her doctorate at the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Her research in her discipline has focused on social stratification, particularly the characteristics and evolution of the middle classes and the peasantry, and on gender. In education, she has written papers on education reform, lifelong learning, and literacy, as well as reports in connection with her work, as I already mentioned, as external reviewer of the Department of Education's TEEP, and consultant for education, and she is consulted for education for agencies such as the UNESCO and the JBIC, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, among others. Her work as a scholar has received wide recognition, and here I mention only a few. The Achievement Award for the Social Sciences from the NRCP, the Gawad Kolehiyo ng Agham Panlipunan at Pilosopiya of the UP, Professional Achievement Award of the UP Alumni Association, 10 Outstanding Women in the Nation's Service, the National Academy of Science and Technology Outstanding Publication Award, and the Outstanding Young Scientist of the Philippines Award, also from the NAST. More than this, I think, Cynthia Bautista is, in the university, the patron of apparently lost causes, a sower of peace among seemingly implacable protagonists, a consistent voice of reason and moderation, and a true discerner of quality, no matter its physical form or intellectual shape. I personally think her contributions to the intellectual life of the university are immeasurable. And she's that kind of person of whom it can be said, pag nagalit pa sa'yo si Cynthia Bautista, talagang masamang tao ka na. So ladies and gentlemen, I present my friends Alan Bernardo, Dina Ocampo, and Cynthia Bautista.